Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
Thrive Suite Productions. And welcome to another edition of This Day in Sports History. It's January 12th, and on this day in 1992, two basketball teams combined to score 399 points in the highest-scoring basketball game in college basketball history. Division II's Troy State was hosting NAIA school DeVry University. Troy State's coach Don Maestri styled his offense after Paul Westhead's run-and-gun approach at Loyola Marymount. The Trojans' philosophy on the offensive end was shoot and shoot quickly. On defense, his players relentlessly went for steals, but if they couldn't create a steal, they would allow their opponent to score, as long as they scored quickly. Every game was a track meet that was meant to wear the other team down. And on this night, DeVry was not only overmatched, but they were additionally handicapped by only having 7 healthy players. The Trojans were the highest-scoring team in Division II, averaging 121 points a game. But this game didn't exactly start out like any records were going to be set. It took Troy 54 seconds to score their first points. But they soon made up for lost time, scoring their 100th point with a little more than 3 minutes left in the first half. Think about that for a moment. In a span of about 16 minutes, they scored 100 points. That works out to more than 6 points per minute. At the break, Troy led 123-53. More than half of Troy's points came off their 21 three-pointers, and the 123 points broke the record for points and a half. But that record would not last very long. By the 10-minute mark in the second half, a three-pointer broke the record for most points scored by one team in a game at 189. Troy crossed the 200-point mark with a little less than 8 minutes left. The only problem with that was that the scoreboard was not equipped to handle 200 points, so the scoreboard operator rolled it back to 0. By the time the final horn sounded, Troy had scored 285 points to DeVry's 141. Troy's 135 second-half points broke the record they set in the first half. They sank 33s in the second half, which was more than the previous full-game record of 25. 10 of 11 Trojans scored in double figures. And you're probably thinking that one guy who did not score double digits was some scrub who came off the bench late. But it was the guy who scored the first points. He never scored again. In fact, he never took another shot. And how about free throws? Surely there had to be lots, right? Nope, there were only 3 free throw attempts in the game. Troy made all 3 of them, which really goes to show you there was literally no defense played in this game. Troy had 28 steals and forced 44 turnovers. And if you can stand one more surprising fact from this game, the leading scorer was actually DeVry's Dartez Daniel, who scored 42 to lead all scorers in the highest-scoring collegiate basketball game played on this day in 1992. Also on this day, in 1969, the New York Jets beat the Baltimore Colts 16-7 in Super Bowl III, supporting quarterback Joe Namath's famous drunken guarantee of a win 3 days earlier. In 2013, it was the mile-high miracle as the underdog Baltimore Ravens beat Denver 38-35 in overtime. It took a 70-yard pass from Joe Flacco to Jacoby Jones with less than a minute to play to force overtime. And then the Ravens' Justin Tucker kicked the 47-yard game winner in the second OT in what is the NFL's 4th longest game on record. And in 1995, the OJ Simpson murder trial got underway in L.A. That's all for today. When you have a moment, rate, review, and subscribe. Thanks for giving this episode a listen today. Send me an email if you have an idea about a future episode or if I made a mistake at some point. You can find the email in the show notes. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you here tomorrow for another edition of This Day in Sports History.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.